To Kill a Mockingbird was released in 1962 and was directed by Robert Mulligan and stars Gregory Peck. It's based off of the immortal novel of the same name by Harper Lee and follows the story of Scout and her brother Jim as their father Atticus Finch is tasked with defending a black man who is accused of raping a young white woman. And so these two young children must come to terms with the racism in their town, while the film explores ideas of prejudice, poverty, and the nature of good and evil. Guys, I am so excited to finally talk about this movie. This is yet another viewer-requested review here on the channel, and this is a very special film to me because it is one of my favorite films of all time. To Kill a Mockingbird is a film that I have been introduced to earlier in my life during high school, which I feel like is when everybody learned about To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a book, obviously, that people just end up always having to read in high school, and I remember having to read it in my English class and really enjoying it. However, I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to, mostly due to the fact that I just don't find much enjoyment in reading stuff when I'm forced to read it, but no doubt To Kill a Mockingbird is a classic novel, one of the greatest novels of all time, and I think the film that adapted it is a masterpiece and may even be better than the book it's based on. I know that's a subjective opinion, but it's how I feel because I just gravitated towards this movie so much in a way that I just didn't with the book. Putting it to screen just led to something I think is extremely powerful and very timeless. Now, it had been a few years since I had last watched this movie. The last time I had watched it was when I was in high school, but a few years ago, I sat down and rewatched it and just completely fell in love with it. And now it is a top 10 favorite movie of all time for me. And there is so much of this film that I just genuinely love so much that I'm not going to be able to address all of it. But I want to say first and foremost that the acting in this film is superb, from the adult actors as well as the child actors. The child actors in particular, this is some of the best child acting I have ever seen. It is so believable and so wonderful, and they're so curious and interesting to me. Scout, Jim, Dill, I love how they're not really sure about what's going on, and we see this horrible act being shown to us through the eyes of a child, and I think that's a very interesting perspective to look in on, and why the story is so compelling, because these children are so naive, and they're shut off from the world in a way, and they don't completely understand the world. But here and now, during this trial, they are beginning to understand that the world is an extremely cruel and horrible place, and there's very little light in it. But there are some good people out there that are going to try their best to do the right thing, and I think it's done wonderfully. I think this film really shows what it's like to be a child and get introduced to these subject matters, and it's very well done. The acting is superb. I love these actors so much, especially that little actress that plays Scout is just wonderful. She's a delight to watch, especially during the final sequences of the film, especially when she gets introduced to Boo Radley finally at the end. Just the look on her face is wonderful. And we're going to be talking about that scene soon too. But I want to talk about the amazing performance by Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck is Atticus Finch, and this is just a stellar performance. He is so classy and so loving and caring in this role. And the sequence where we're at the trial is just, it's so powerful to watch. And his performance is just so incredible. He gets you right in that scene. It reminds me a lot of the trial sequence in JFK, where you're just stuck, glued to the screen because of what you're watching is just absolutely incredible. I just find his performance so compelling, from how he delivers his lines during the trial and how he acts towards these children and how he acts as a loving father. It is wonderful. I also want to talk about one of my favorite performances in the movie that I feel like isn't talked about enough, and that is Robert Duvall as Boo Radley. Robert Duvall has no lines in this entire film. His acting is all through his eyes, and it is some powerful acting with a beautiful score combined with it. But at the very end of the film, when Boo Radley saves both Scout and Jim, it's really incredible when we finally reveal that it was him that saved them, and just this look of childish innocence just on his face, this grin that he gives to Scout, and how, you know, he really cares for them because he didn't want them to die, obviously, and he defended them. It is some of the most powerful acting I have ever seen. I cannot watch that scene and not tear up at it. It's just incredible. It's my favorite sequence of the film besides the trial, and the trial is just incredible to boot. The acting, the tension, just everything in that room, everything is going against them, and Atticus gives just a powerful speech, and we see clearly that an injustice is being done, and it reminded me a lot of what is going on today. And this film just felt incredibly timeless because we are still dealing with this stuff here today. Innocent black men are being accused of things that they shouldn't be accused for. Innocent black men are dying for no reason. And this film really shows that, in a film that was made in 1962 that is set in, what, the 30s or something? And it's just incredible. It's just something, it's so powerful, from its themes to the music to the acting. Everything just combines together to make an absolutely stellar film that is beautifully shot, beautifully made, with some of the best acting I have ever seen, some of the most compelling themes, and also just, I love the whole feel of it. There's this childhood innocence to it, but it's still able to explore these deep themes with a lot of depth and a lot of heart, and that is why it is one of my favorite films of all time. I just adore this film so much. So anyway, guys, with all that said, I'm gonna give To Kill a Mockingbird a 10 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely recommend that if you have not seen To Kill a Mockingbird, definitely check it out. It is worth it. And I also want to thank my buddy Jerome, who recommended that I talk about this movie. He's been wanting me to talk about some of not only my favorite films, but some of his favorite films for some time now, and I'm glad that I finally get the chance to do this. But thank you guys for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.